everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Kate, and today I would like to start off by apologizing for taking so long to update you guys on my knitting. I have some life updates that I'll add to the end of the video, but I've just been really busy. Just the short and sweet of it is I'm back in vet school, I'm back to final year, back in rotation. I do have some health updates for those who have been following along that whole journey of things. But yeah, I do have lots of knitting to share, lots of WIPS, lots of chaos. It is so warm here today. I almost didn't record because I am so aware that I look like I just had a bucket of water dumped on my head. I don't know, I just couldn't put it off any longer. So I just thought, you know what, I'm gonna sit down, I'm gonna record, and I am not gonna think too hard about the fact that this is what we're working with. But yeah, no, I'm so excited to reconnect and jump back into the swing of podcasting again, back in a routine with rotations and stuff as well, and finding a way to fit all that in, because I am finding time to knit and I am finding time to crochet, surprise foreshadowing, and sew, which is also a crazy turn of events. But I'll save it all. We'll just break it down into a basic podcast order. We'll start with finished objects, WIPS. I do have, it'll be a kind of a loose acquisitions. I also have some patterns that were kindly gifted to me as well that I'll share, and just some odds and ends and life updates at the very end. But first I'll start with what I'm wearing. I am wearing my pressed flowers shawl that I have absolutely loved this summer. I finished it, it was a finished object in I believe the last podcast, if not the one before, and she's had a lot of wear. And I've definitely been in a long white dresses phase. I don't know if you guys have been able to tell from my Instagram, but I can't stop wearing white dresses. Related to the health things, I am very kind of swollen in my belly quite a lot lately, just with inflammation and other things. And I find that it makes me feel the most confident, and it's also really light for summer. And I can wear a sweater with it, or I can wear a shawl with it. And so that's how I've been styling literally every outfit that I've worn all summer long. So yeah, so I will probably shed this at some point, because I don't even know what temperature it is, but it is hot here in Scotland. I'm in Glasgow and the sun is out, sun's shining, which is already rare, and it is just so warm. Yeah. So I'll jump in with my finished objects, and I have two, I believe. I want to say I finished more things, but the trouble with taking so much time between podcasts, so I think it's been about a month and a half, is that I don't remember like what I finished. So I have two finished objects to physically show you. I did also finish the tie tank, which I have on my Ravelry, and I hopefully should have some pictures to show you as well. But okay, I'm getting off track. Let's go. So first, ignore the loose ends that I haven't woven in. This is the Sabai top that I knitted in Sandnesgarn Lina in this really beautiful pink color. It is, even just having it against my skin, it feels cold to the touch. I think I had this as a WIP in my last podcast. If not, it was like almost done, if not pretty much done. The only thing, yeah, I think it was like, I was almost done with it, and I like only had one more step to do before it was a finished object to show you, and I just hadn't done it yet. But I did it, and I was really sad to discover that I was so off gauge, and my armholes are like down to my waist, which I don't love. A couple of you lovely subscribers had mentioned to me, reached out to me and told me that I should do some short rows or try like some different techniques to make the armholes smaller. And as much as I really appreciate that advice and definitely had thought about doing so, I think I might just re-knit it. I know that might sound crazy, but I think I finished this in like 5 days. It was crazy. Granted, I wasn't working or doing anything and just sitting and recovering from surgery, so I just could knit all day long and nap. But I just feel like it did really fly off the needles. It was a really fun knit, to be honest. It is just mindless stockinette most of the time, like tossing it around. But yeah, I do really like it. I just don't like the armholes. So I will hopefully re-knit this. I think I'm going to frog it and potentially save it for a next summer project, because I do really want this top for summer next year. Well, yeah, we'll just leave it at that. I think that the construction of this top is really nice. I think because you kind of just increase for the shoulders and then just go from there. And it is, I did the raw edge. There are 2 different types of edging you can do for this. But I just really liked it. I really like the experience. I really like the pattern. So if you haven't knit yourself a Sabai top and it's still warm where you are, I do recommend it. It is just a quick knit that I'm sure you would enjoy. So yeah. And my next finished object is a very different vibe from the first. This is my oh my god, what is it called? My Salty Days sweater. I can't believe I couldn't think of that. Salty Days sweater. If you follow me on Instagram, you've seen kind of the play-by-play with this sweater. I have recorded most of a project vlog that I'm hoping to upload if it's any good. I kind of started to fizzle out on the progress, but this has been with me all over the place. So I have footage from the US, airports, the Highlands, Glasgow, just train rides, Inverness, like so many different places. So it would be fun to piece all of that together and do a project vlog, which I've never done before. Overall impressions of this, I really enjoyed it. It was very interesting, and of course this is by Veronica Lindberg, and she goes by Kutovakika. And of course, if you've seen YouTube knitting podcasts, which I'm sure you have because that's why you're here, you've come across her videos, and she does step-by-step videos for everything, and I find that she's very clear with all of her instructions. And yeah, she definitely held true for this pattern as well. I loved the I love the collar, first of all. I really like how you have just smaller sections of pattern, and then you kind of do your little eyelets and then you move to another pattern. I found that really engaging, so I was kind of always looking for the next kind of, it's true for color work, it's true for these types of, I think it's called potato chippy knits. I just really enjoyed it. My only qualm, I guess you could say, is that I really struggled to figure out what size to knit, and it's probably just a me thing because she's very clear. But I knitted a swatch and I thought I was doing everything right to figure out what needle size I should choose, what size I should choose, because I have quite a small bust circumference. It's just one of these things, so I tend to fall into a smaller size just based off of like chest measurements. But I've got some shoulders to me. I like an oversized fit. But if something says it has quite a lot of positive ease, I don't want to be swimming in it. And especially like I find I have kind of a really narrow neck. I don't know, the things you learn about yourself when you knit. I have quite a narrow neck, so if I knit a really oversized sweater, I find that the neckline really gapes on me and looks kind of ridiculous, and looks like, yeah, okay, it's an oversized look, but it also like isn't cutesy oversized. It's kind of annoyingly oversized and not very attractive looking, in my opinion. So I thought I was getting like in her images, she says her bust circumference is quite similar to mine, and then she has like this really lovely like oversized look and says what size she knits. So I thought I was knitting the same size, going for the same oversized look, and I don't think that it looks very oversized. I did make a little modification, which was the, here I'll kind of hold it up. So hopefully you can see, so in this area here, I did slightly fewer pattern repeats because I went by length instead of by stitch, which I am glad that I did because I didn't want it to be really long sweater. I do quite like it to rest where my hips are for most sweaters, just because I do tend to wear it with tops or dresses like this. So if it's really, really long, it tends to kind of like make me look like a rectangle in a skirt, and I don't know how better to describe that. But yeah, I like the length. I like the general fit. It's just my biggest issue is the sleeves, and I had knitted an entire sleeve and realized it was far too short. It wasn't quite right. It was really tight. I, for some reason, knitted the sleeves much tighter than the body, even though I was using the same needle size. I think it was just, I wasn't doing magic loop and I was using 9-inch circulars, and it just was really tugging at the stitches, so it was making them really tight. And so I ripped it all back and I was like, oh, I'll just knit the sleeves for a size large. Well, you have to pick up the same number of stitches for a size small versus a size large. And so that didn't make a lot of sense to me, if I'm honest, because I didn't feel like it made sense proportionately, because why would it be the same number of stitches for a large and a small? I don't know. She probably knows better. Well, she definitely knows better than me, and I probably am just missing something about how that works. But I just, yeah, I was really confused by that because I was going to knit them for a large. And so I just ended up sticking with the same instructions for the small, and I realized I made a mistake, so I fixed it. I thought, knit all the way to the end, blocked it. I had blocked it initially, and then initially with the last sleeve, and then I had to rip it all back. And then I knit this sleeve, knit the other sleeve, and then I realized that I think I was knitting one of the pattern repeats like 7 times instead of 9 times, which is what it's specified. So one of the sleeves is ever so slightly smaller than the other, and I don't think it's super noticeable, but I'm worried about blocking it out because at this time I think they look similar, and I'm really stressed that if it's blocked, the other sleeve is gonna look really nice and oversized, and then the one that I messed up is gonna just make it. And if that's the case, I'm gonna be really disappointed because I really don't have enough yarn to reknit that sleeve again, because I salvaged as much as I could, but I'm holding kind of like an unspun yarn with a mohair, and it just was a bit of a nightmare to rip back. So this is my Salty Day sweater. I do love her. I've already worn her once when the weather was chillier, when we had a little bit of a chillier morning, more fall vibes. It is August, but I don't care. I'm already embracing fall, and I'm manifesting the cooler weather. So yeah, so I think that's us done with finished objects, and I am about to really put myself to shame with the amount of WIPs that I have going on right now. And I decided I was going to out myself to the YouTube world to hold myself accountable to get these done, because it's a bit overwhelming to look at. I have a basket and 2 extra bags of WIPs. We'll get through it together. But I have lots of projects on the go right now, all for different purposes, some for different people, some with different timelines, others for, yeah. So just to preface, there's gonna be some things to discuss. I don't really know where to begin. So I think I'm just gonna grab the thing that's the closest to me and go from there. Okay, so the first one that's closest to me is the Sadie top. Sadie, gotta look at my cheat sheet. Yeah, the Sadie top by Woozy by Céline. And I'm making this for my dad's fiance, Adrian, and she is lovely. When I was in West Virginia, I went to some yarn shops, which I do have footage for, and I was going to make another vlog. I'm really keen to make vlogs if you haven't been able to tell by this podcast so far. So I went to a yarn shop and I really was keen to cast something on for her. And yeah, I came across this really beautiful silk. I'll insert all of the yarn specifications and everything on my Ravelry. So just have a look on there. The link will be in the description if you're curious about any of these, because I honestly can't remember, and I'm missing a lot of the tags. My animals like to steal the cardboard tags, so I don't tend to have them just readily on hand. But it's this really beautiful, actually, you know what? I'll pull out one of the cakes that isn't half gone. It's this really beautiful kind of purple, green, brown silk. It's 100% silk. It's an Italian yarn brand, I believe. And I was in West Virginia when I bought it, or Maryland. They're right on the border, so I can't remember which yarn shop it was. But yeah, I just think it reminds me of like a rainbow fish, and there's lots of lore when it comes to our connection to the ocean and everything. In our family, like I grew up by the ocean, and she has lots of family that are fishermen, and it's kind of like it looks like a fishnet kind of top. I don't know. It's a very different pattern than I've ever really knit before in the sense of gauge. I never knit on large needles. I don't really like the feeling of it typically. I really love like I'd rather go really tiny with my needles than really large with my needles. I don't know why, like sensory wise, I really enjoy that. But I just really like the look of this, and so it's keeping me going. And I'm just kind of knitting around and around and around on it, kind of picking it up, putting it down. Her birthday's in September, but I know I'm not going to get it done by then, so I think it's going to be a Christmas gift for her. I really like it so far. So far I've done like some of the sleeve cap and shoulder shaping and stuff, but so that is the Sadie top so far for Adrian. Okay, so the next work in progress is Blouse number 1 by My Favorite Things Knitwear, and I am knitting this for one of my partner's family friends, and she is really just a really lovely person, and she was seeing that I was wearing some knits over the summer, and she had asked if I would consider doing a commission. I am refusing payment other than for yarn because she's a family friend, and I just don't, yeah, I'd like to give this to her because I want to give her something that I know that she'll wear and enjoy. But I haven't got very far on it yet. I'm knitting this in Knitting for Olive Pure Silk. It's in this really stunning blue color. I really don't have much to show for it so far, but it is one that I am really keen to keep going on. I just was using the needles for another project. I want to say I was using it for the Salty Days sweater, which is why I wasn't working on this, but I actually think it's, no, I know what I'm using them for. So I will be working on this again very, very soon. I really like this pattern. I think this was like in one sitting. I cast this on and did this much, and I thought, yep, I'm gonna be addicted to this. So I had put it to the side to finish the Salty Days sweater, and then I hyperfixated on designing my own sweater, which I will show it because I don't think, like, it's not a big secret. I'm not like a knitwear designer, and I don't think I'll be capable of releasing patterns at any time. And honestly, I might never even finish it. We'll see what happens because I don't know if my math is right because I don't know what I'm doing. But that was a side tangent about a totally different project. That's blouse number 1. I'm very excited. I've heard really amazing things. I know Study Knits, Allie, she really likes her blouse number 1, and she was talking about it on her most recent podcast. I think it was actually released last night. And yeah, so she was mentioning that, and that just kind of made me motivated to pick this back up, knit. She said it was really enjoyable, so I'm excited for that. And then maybe I will get the motivation to knit one for myself, maybe in some fall colors. I could imagine a nice brown or maybe like a dark green, I don't know. But yeah, but I would love to finish that for Mel, and that will be hopefully Christmas time as well. I'm aiming, a lot of these projects you'll come to find, I'm aiming for Christmas time, just because if I finish it sooner, great, and then I can work on more stuff for myself. Not that I'm really stopping myself, as you'll come to find out, but yeah, that means everybody will get something Christmas time. It's great. It's fine. It's fine. Okay, so the next one is the self-drafted project. It's in this really big, it's actually in an IDEX bag because I'm a lab nerd, but I designed the sweater while I was probably on tons of pain medication at the time. And I was really loving my, sorry, pain medication related to my surgery, not just for funsies. Just had to preface that. So I was really loving my lace loop tee, and see, now that I'm touching this, I need to pick it back up. But okay, so my lace loop tee that I did by Other Loops, that I finished in the last podcast, I've literally worn it like every day. If I do post a vlog, it's actually really hard to figure out the day based on watching it because it looks like I'm wearing the same outfit every day because I'm wearing the lace loop sweater every single day because it was so versatile, so comfortable. I got compliments on it all the time. It's so soft, so breathable, but also kind of warm if you need it to be. I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. So I had a ton of the same Filcolana Alva, Filcolana Tilia that I had for another project. It was a Florence Miller pattern. It was like the crossbody cardigan. The Robinson wrap, that's what it is. So that one is on kind of like a hardcore pause for the time being, but I had all of this yarn left over that I brought with me in case I wanted to work on that cardigan, and I decided to try to draft my own pattern and kind of match that kind of oceany vibe. Turns out my science brain doesn't allow me to think of anything other than science related things. So originally I thought, okay, we'll go like fishtail vibes, and this will be like another set of cool like ribbing, like maybe like oceany, like tide vibes or something. No, of course I don't see it that way anymore. To me, this looks like vertebra, and this looks like a spinal cord with all of the nerves coming off of it because I can't unsee it now. So it already has a name because, again, I'm a nerd, and I was going to call it the Saltatory sweater, which if you're a biology person, you might go, ha ha ha. But it's the conduction of nerves in your body. It jumps around. Anyway, it's called saltatory conduction. And then that happens in your spinal cord. And then I also think like the word salt reminds you of the ocean. So it's like, even if you don't know what saltatory means, you might think, oh, okay, like salty, like day on the ocean, which is what I was originally going for. So it has a name. It may never come to fruition, but of course this is the back shaping. I was going for a really kind of oversized fit, and it's made to my measurements as much as I could math it out for. I spent an entire day on an Excel sheet. I was like going crazy on Excel, just trying to make the math. and yeah, so I have a couple more rows before I can switch to the shoulder shaping and kind of shaping for the neckline and all of that stuff. But I put it on hold. I mean, I obviously still have the needles on it, which I need to use for the blouse number 1, but I was really cranking it out and I just kind of lost motivation because I really don't know if it's gonna work. So yeah, so this is my self-drafted sweater start. It looks massive. Okay, we're not gonna think about it for much. We're just not gonna think about it. It's fine. So yeah. And as I said, this was just gonna always go away because it's warm. Right, so I also, while I was in West Virginia, / Massachusetts. So I'm from Massachusetts, kind of Cape Cod area in the US. And I stopped at a yarn shop that I'd never been to before in my hometown. And I shared it on my Instagram. It's called Plymouth Harbor Knits. And I bought this really, really lovely, squishy, beautiful yarn by someone that I can't remember. I think it's Juniper Moon, if I'm not mistaken. But it's kind of like an alpaca nylon blend, I want to say. I will, again, it's all on my Ravelry. I just can't remember. I'm really sorry, unreliable source. So I got in this blue and white color. It's so soft. When I felt it in the store, I was like, yeah, I guess I'm gonna be making some socks now, because I went in and I saw that they had some Noro yarns. Like, I just was like, oh my gosh, you guys have so much stuff. They had tons of really beautiful yarns. I do have videos from there as well if I ever get around to making that vlog. Sorry, hopefully this will hold me accountable for that. So yeah, so I got these and we had a really long car ride from Massachusetts down to West Virginia. It was about 9 hours. And I thought, why don't I just start knitting a pair of socks? So with these two colors, I decided I was just gonna freehand my own ocean themed socks. So this is them. And by them, I mean one that I finished so far. It is just a top-down sock with an afterthought heel. It does fit me quite well. It has kind of random little patterns on it. And I had never really freehanded. I never really considered that I could do that before. And I was looking for ocean themed socks, and of course I was looking at Stone Knits like fish socks that she's got, and just scouring Pinterest and Ravelry for some inspiration. And I just thought, why don't I just try to knit them myself and freehand it? And it took up a really long time in the car trying to come up with different blocks of patterns that worked and like that repeated evenly. And I think it's 72 or 74. I can't remember now. I just have to count it. But I do, yeah, I have quite, I'd say like kind of large to average. I'm like, I've got pretty big feet, to be fair. So I have to make a really like a large size sock. I have really skinny ankles and kind of large feet, long feet. The things you share on the internet and the knitting channel is so silly. So yeah, so I have some fish, I've got some waves, I've got some X's and fun little patterny things, and I really like them. And of course, as soon as I finished the first sock, I lost gas on the second sock. So I finished the first sock kind of halfway through our way home, the 9 hours back. And I cast it on this one and I started it, and I got a decent bit of the way through. And then of course I had to start considering like adding in that scrap yarn for separating for the heel, for the afterthought heel rather. And yeah, I just couldn't be bothered. But that's now been done. I now have worked beyond that, and it's kind of, it would be really quick to finish these. I just need to sit down for like a couple of evenings and just crank it out. Because it would be nice to have another finished object, and I do really like working on socks, but I have so many things that are capturing my attention right now, so these have kind of moved to the side. I do really want to finish these before the summer is over, but yeah, they stay right next to my bed, so if I get bored or like can't sleep, I'll pick them up, but I have to just read what I did on the pattern. So if it's dark, I tend to not reach for them, but yeah, I am keen to get these done. And these are my little doodly ocean socks that aren't on my Ravelry actually, so I will add them somehow so you guys can see. So by the time this video is up, you'll be able to see. Right. So next is my new Norma sweater by My Favorite Things Knitwear. This was a sweater, so I have two sweaters I'm taking out of hibernation. So it's this one and another one, which you'll see very shortly. I haven't worked on her yet since I've taken her out of hibernation because I am spinning all the yarn for this sweater. So if you've been following along on the podcast / YouTube channel, you may have seen my spin to knit vlog kind of style videos. I was doing kind of individual vlog episodes instead of like one whole start to finish vlog, which I don't know how popular that will be, but I am keen to get this done. I do have the yarn to spin. I just have been spinning other things, or not spinning at all because I haven't been in Glasgow for most of the summer. So she is coming out of retirement because it's fall, well, once it's officially fall. I really enjoy working on this, and I'm really excited for it to be done. I'm excited to block it. I'm excited to feel how soft it gets. I'm really proud of the actual like yarn that I've created, and I'm proud of how the stitches, like just how the sweater is coming out. So I'm just really excited to see a finished project of something that I made from scratch, like actually from scratch. And yeah, so that she hasn't been forgotten. It just hasn't been a summer priority. So I'm keen to get her out of hibernation. I want to work on her as soon as possible, as soon as I have the time to really dedicate to spinning. I do have a couple of spins that I'll talk about shortly. But yeah, so this is the new Norma sweater, the the new Norma that's made an appearance on the podcast a couple of times now. Okay, we're almost done, but this is another out of hibernation knit that I have been working on, and this is the Ovis Sweater by Saskie & Co., formerly known as The Petite Knitter, and I'm obsessed. I was obsessed before, I'm obsessed again. So this is, it's really hard to show because I have it on stitch holders just for the time being, but this is the Ovis Sweater, so Ovis meaning sheep. And so there's little sheep that I made on here to look like Suffolk sheep. And oh, I just love it. And I'm using yarn that I've bought kind of on my travels when I was a first year. I went to Estonia and I went to Finland, and I ended up buying like fairly rustic yarns, and some of them were like Letlopi and like whatever, so like they ended up being brands that like I could have got at home. But I also bought like an Estonian wool that was like spun in Estonia. I was in Tallinn, so I think it had significance. It smells so sheepy. This sweater smells so sheepy. I've mentioned it before and I'll say it again. It is amazing to work with. I cannot wait to wear it. I'm a little concerned about the really sheepy rustic wool, but I'm holding it with quite a lot of softer wools. There's a lot of different wools in here. It's gonna be a smorgasbord of yarn, because even in the main color, I decided to deviate and do some hand spun yarn and toss that in there. And then I ran out of that, and so I'm gonna change it to part of a project that I was saving for my partner that I'm not gonna do, so I'm gonna use that yarn. So like, and that's a blue face luster, so it's all over the place. I think I just don't mind that it'll look like pieced together, because that's kind of the vibe I'm going for. I want it to look like I've got yarns from different places and different things, because I did, and it has different stories and different things attached to it. And I'm trying not to be a perfectionist about it, because I already think it looks really nice, and I think it adds to the character instead of take away from like the finished piece. So I wouldn't recommend doing that in all sweaters, but in this one in particular, it seems to just be working, and I love that. So, which is lucky for me, to be honest, because I really don't know what I would have done if it didn't work. So this is my Ovis sweater. I'm really working on her. I really want to, so this is kind of like one of my priorities at the moment to get done, because it's so exciting to knit, and it's for myself. So of course it's a priority. But I don't know, so this is like the light color is for the chest area, and then it's supposed to switch to a different color, and I think in the pattern she does a darker color, which is what I wanted to replicate. But I only have that really rustic wool in the dark color, and I don't know if it's gonna just be really like a different texture, like it's gonna go from being like somewhat, I think it's gonna be a dense wool, but I don't know if it's gonna go from being like kind of like a dense wool that's soft to a dense wool that like holds its shape more, and have it be like not cohesive or like not comfortable. I do want it to be comfortable to wear, of course. So yeah, so I'm kind of just keeping my eye out for like a dark colored yarn, maybe that's on sale, that I could purchase. I was trying to get away from purchasing things for this sweater, but I have quite a lot of spin to knit type things going on, so I don't think I'm going to spin anything for the body / sleeve of this sweater, because that would take a lot of time, and I have other spin time allocated for other things. So all this to say, I will probably be pausing this soon, because I can't really afford to be buying more yarn right now, if I'm being totally honest with life and things. So I just need to be patient. So she might be back on pause pretty soon, but I just needed to bring her back up again because I love this pattern and I can't wait for it to be done. So I have 2 more things to share. One is something I cast on literally yesterday, which is very naughty of me. And the other is crochet. So we're almost there, home stretch. So I'll stick with the knitting first. So this is the Cozycottagecardi. Cozycottagecardi. Hard to say 3 times fast. And this is the start. And I started this last night. I would say, well, technically 2 days ago, but I was doing the wrong stitch and I had to rip it all back, as you may have seen on my Instagram. So this is her now. She's looking really good. I'm about to actually put these stitches on hold and pick up the stitches here. This took me no time at all. Honestly, I did part of this before bed after I was done studying my vet prep, and yeah, and then I did the rest of it like after I was done studying something else today. That's kind of the theme of my life right now. And I bought more yarn. I bought this Issachar Soft in the color E6S, which I think is like one of their natural dyed ones. So it's 56% alpaca, 44% organic cotton. It is so soft. It almost feels somewhat felted, I guess you could say, because of the way that the alpaca fibers are blown around the cotton. It's pretty tightly, it's kind of on there. It's not as like, I don't know how to describe it, if I'm honest. It just kind of feels like if you were to feel a felted object in a way, but it is very soft. And I do really like the way it's knitting up. It kind of has a little bit of something to it. It's not just plain white, which is what I've been knitting quite a lot recently. It has a bit of the beige ish hue to it, kind of like an oatmeal color. And I do really like how you can have like really nice cable definition, even with that subtle marling. And yeah, I really like it. This has a half brioche stitch in it as well. And that's been a new skill that I acquired because I've never done anything in brioche before. So that's all I have to say about this so far. It is a bit, the pattern, the way that it's written is a little bit different than some of the other patterns that I'm used to reading. It gets the job done. I can follow it. It's just there's a ton of instructions before the instructions actually begin to reference, but I feel like the written instructions themselves explain what you need to do enough that you don't need to reference the large amount of stuff written before it very often. That might change as I go along, but so far I was thinking I had to remember that every insert whatever number rows, you have to remember to do your short rows, because that's what it says in the instructions before when I read it, and I was like, oh my god, like how am I gonna remember to do that? Because if it's not written down, I won't remember. I just know that I won't. I have to like go through and do it manually and write it to remind myself. And so I was really stressed, and I just was like, you know what, I'll just start and see what happens. And then it gave you the instruction, so it was fine. But yeah, so that kind of threw me at first. I have had to rip this back like 3 times because 1, I don't know how to count, which isn't news to anybody. And 2, I did the wrong stitch. And 3, I used the wrong size needles. So, and I've done that 3 times in 2 days, and it's still like I'm done with like part of the back shaping. So that was really fast. So I'm really excited to see how quickly I can knit this up, because I am dying for a cardigan. I've never knit a cardigan before. I've kind of hyperfixated on the sweater realm. And of course I have a couple of socks and a shawl, but I don't have a cardigan yet. So I'm very keen to have one done. And last but not least is some crochet. So I've been going a little bit crazy. I have, so a bit of an overshare. I have a family member who's relatively close in age to me, who just got diagnosed with cancer, and I love her dearly, and anyway, I really wanted to make something nice for her, and I've been racking my brain. Wanted to do something more, something that was thoughtful, but maybe also something she could do, or something that she could use, or something, I don't know. So I went down this whole rabbit hole of like Pinterest and Reddit, and like trying to find what people who have experienced this like really valued in like the gifts that they have received, or things that they would have wanted to receive. And anyway, if anyone has any suggestions for something in the most sensitive way possible, if you have any suggestions, I would love to know. However, I didn't want to like open that dialogue in case I don't. So, kind of pivoting away from that, I had a look at the crochet book that I bought for my cousin, and I really liked one of the patterns. This is gonna make me sound like a terrible person, because I am buying this for her as a gift, but I am taking a pattern out of it because I really like it. So I am crocheting up a blanket for myself, which I've never done. It is made of granny squares, and it looks like a quilt star, and I'm really excited. And it is really ironic because I did just get a sewing machine, which I've been wanting for a really, really long time. So I did just get a sewing machine, and you'd think, well, because I have a sewing machine, I could just quilt my own quilt that looks like that. Why would you crochet? Because I can. And I know I can crochet it probably better than I can sew it at this stage of the game. And so that's what I'm doing. So I'm working on my crochet quilt star. I've got just these ones done so far, and I'm enjoying the process, but when I saw the number of squares I have to make, I was a little bit daunted, I'm not gonna lie, but I'm pretty optimistic I can do it. I don't know how to store these is my issue, because I have to make for just one part of the pattern. I have to make 100 of these ones. And where am I going to store 100 squares? Like, I think there's like 200 some, like maybe almost 200 squares in the whole pattern. So I don't know how to store them. So that would be great if you have any suggestions for that, because I really don't know. I really don't know, because I don't want, I quite like to have all of my things accessible, but I don't want to like toss these in a bag and then have them get all like felted or, you know, creased funny or lay weird and roll up or something. I don't know. So I would like to find a way to store these like in an aesthetic way. Also, so it's easy for me to count what ones I've done and what ones I still need to do. So that concludes WIPS. Thank you for coming through that with me. I know it was a lot. I do have some acquisitions. I will spare you some acquisition, like individual acquisition things. I have bought some yarn. I'm part of an Enchanted Yarn subscription box by Skein and Stitch. I got it backwards last time, but I'll definitely insert it in the comments again. Jess is amazing. She's a yarn dyer who's living in Yorkshire in England, who I believe is also from America originally. She's doing a Studio Ghibli themed kind of yarn subscription thing. I've only received one so far. I ended up having some payment plan issues with my Amex because UK. So just the lovely joys of subscriptions and sometimes things not going according to plan, but that's okay. So I got one and I love it. It's beautiful. I am looking forward to her other yarn like pre-orders. She's coming out with a Yorkshire collection, I think in 2 weeks, that I am obsessed with. Yeah, so I'm definitely gonna get in on that. But it's also the same day as the Scottish Yarn Festival, which I'm going to in Perth in Scotland. So if you're going, please let me know. I would love to say hi to you and chat to you. So I'm going to that, and I do have plans to buy some yarn. I am trying to come up with what I want / need. I'm very excited. This will be my first yarn festival. Can't wait. Very excited. And I am also, yeah, so that's some yarn things. I got some project amounts of yarn for the Cozycottagecardi. I was also gifted some patterns from Rhonda, who is also known as Key Knits, and she sent them to me with a lovely, lovely message, kind of when I was in peak recovery mode, and it made me cry because no one's ever done that before, and it made me feel like a true part of the knitting community, as well as just being so grateful for just being, I don't know, I just felt really grateful that like my story resonated with her and kind of like what I'm going through, and she's really talented and sent me these patterns in case I wanted to knit them. So I'll link them below in case you want to support her, because I just thought that was so incredibly kind. So I definitely wanted to give her a shout out. And I also have a couple of other kind of pattern books that I've purchased / borrowed from friends. So I'll start with the Arctic Knits book by Saskie and Co. I was so excited to purchase this book. I mean, all the photos are stunning. I mean, I can kind of maybe flip through. I mean, you get the vibes, right? So they're colorwork sweaters. I mean, she did the Ovis Sweater. She designed that. And it's just so beautiful. It's just so beautiful. And I can't wait to just open this book and find something that I can work on this winter. So I purchased this now. She had like a little sale going on over the summer. So I had it shipped from where she lives in Canada. And I just, yeah, I love just flipping through it and seeing all the beautiful aesthetic pictures that she takes. She also has a really beautiful Instagram as well, if you haven't checked her out. So yeah, so that is book number 1, which I'm gonna put them all back on my shelf as I discuss them. And then this is the book that I bought for my cousin. This is the Vintage Granny Squares pattern book that has tons of really beautiful like just like bags and gloves and blankets and pillow covers and like things that may not take a lot of time, but like you get that instant gratification of finishing a project with, you know, potentially really beautiful colors. And like, look at that bag, like, isn't that so pretty? So I just really like it. I'm gonna put it here for now for safekeeping, but I am, like I said, crocheting one of the patterns from this book as I kind of collect the things, like the finished things to send to her, because I did just take a picture of it and I have it on my phone because I bought the book, so I can do that. But yeah, I'm very keen for her to have all of these patterns just at her fingertips so she can crochet them if she wants to. And it does have like how-tos at the start of the book, which I thought was very beginner friendly. I'm not sure if she's crocheted before, so she might know more than me, and maybe she already has made these things. I don't know, but in case she hasn't, hopefully she enjoys that book. And then I have a couple of things that are very special. I have these couple of special books that I got from one of my partner's family friends. Her name is Marion, and she founded and runs the College of Master Quilt Tailors. It is amazing. She is just my idol. I worship the ground she walks on, whether she realized that or not. She is just so crafty, and she just spends all her time making traditional kilts and finding really like really well-sourced fibers, and she just does everything. She teaches classes online, and she also knits, not quite, she has told me not quite as much as she might want to, but she just is just amazing. And she has the most incredible craft room. She has this, well, where she does her kilt making is this beautiful large table, wooden table in the middle of this big room that has just this wall window overlooking this beautiful hill in Scotland, and you can look out on the green hill and then like the Munros in the background and the hills in the background, and yeah, stunning. Life goals. But she had lended me some books to look at, because I have been telling her I'm really keen to make my partner a fisherman style sweater, like a traditional fisherman sweater. And I guess kind of in Scotland they're called ganzies, I believe. So I've got 2 books that she let me borrow, and this one is by Alice Starmore, and it is all different types of like really traditional ganzies that I can never remember if it's Guernsey or Gansey. I believe these ones are ganzies, and they have all of the information, but I think they are knit flat and sewn together, but they're just really beautiful. I just haven't decided which one I want to make yet. They have a lot of instructions as to the traditional construction of how to make these and the history, and they're knit really tightly, which is wonderful if you're a fisherman out in the ocean, which, to be fair, my partner is always out on the ocean, but is usually in very, very warm places. And I would love for him to have one that I've made him that he can keep forever, but it will take a lot of time, and I want it to be something perfect, like one that fits him well, one that has a style and pattern that looks nice on him, and one that has some kind of story or sentimental value to it. So there's a lot of pressure that I'm putting on myself to find one that really speaks to me, and I just haven't found one yet. So I know a lot of you have given me suggestions before. I also have these lovely books from Marion as well, which I will be returning to her at some point once I have made a decision. But she also gave me this really cool thing where you can get kind of like swatches of, and like if you're a knitwear designer, you've definitely seen these before, but you can get swatches of yarn. And I thought that was just amazing. I was able to touch them and look at them, and I don't know if they still continue a lot of these ones because I don't know what year these came out or were made available, but the tweed on these are so beautiful. I mean, look at these ones. And it just really inspired me. So I took this home and I've been kind of just randomly picking it up and looking at it and feeling inspired because something about tweed and thinking about knitting a Scottish garment just really goes together. So I have these two. Okay, so I hope you're still with me. I know there's been a lot to go over. So last but not least is some life and health updates. So if you've made it this far and you were just here for the knitting, the WIPS, and the finished objects and all of that good stuff, now would be the time where I would say thank you so much for watching. If you are interested in my life updates, I will kind of divulge some more things if you're invested in the story, the plot. So as many of you know, I was staying up in the Highlands with my partner at his family home, and I was really enjoying being up there, but it was a very gentle and restful recovery time for me. I really wasn't out and about. I was supposed to be doing some clinical placement work for my final year during that time, and unfortunately I just wasn't physically able to do that with the state of my health. So if you're fresh on the scene, the short and sweet of it is I had surgery for excisional removal of some endometrial tissue that they suspected was there in my abdomen, and they did find some, they did remove it. However, they did also find that I was likely to have this other condition called pelvic congestion syndrome. So I've been going through the workup for that. It has been a bit of a waiting game. I live in the UK, but I'm from America, as you know. So I'm used to a very different style of healthcare. It has been very challenging to get the care that I feel I need in order to live my life. So I have been in contact with my university. They're aware of what I'm going through. I am feeling better, but I'm not 100% by any means. I can't really lift things that are heavy. I can't stand for long times. I can't walk for long times. I can't run at all. I am just not myself. Because as many of you know, like I went from running marathons to kind of this type of life. So it's been an adjustment. This summer, I tried to really focus on the positives. So my best friend had, one of my best friends since like I was a baby came to visit, Emily, and she stayed with us. My partner's dad's dog had a litter of puppies. She's a pure golden retriever. She had 4 beautiful boy puppies, and they were just, yeah, they kept us on our toes while I was recovering. So Emily was kind of like the main caretaker of the puppies while she was here. And so I was very lucky that she was able to stay from April until August. So she was there through surgery, recovery, summertime when I was feeling quite down that I couldn't go for hikes or go for swims and do all the things that I usually love to do. And she just was great. We did a lot of cooking, baking together, and just made the most of our time together, which was great. And yeah, so that was amazing. I also was able to visit my family in Plymouth and West Virginia, or Massachusetts and West Virginia. And my brother and his partner got engaged, which was amazing and so special. So I was there the day after they got engaged, and we all spent some time down in West Virginia at my dad's new place down there. And that was the first time all of us kids had been together with my dad in one place in quite a while. So that was really fun. And I really appreciated that time to just lay, well, I thought I was going to absorb a lot of vitamin D and be out in the sun, but it was just so hot. But I was really grateful to have that opportunity to visit, because otherwise I really wouldn't have been able to. I am usually nonstop, and especially with it being final year, I've really booked myself pretty solid for the whole year. So it was an unexpected turn of events. I also got to see my cousins, their new baby, my aunt, and yeah, some other family members as well, some friends. So it was nice, and I'm very grateful for that. But back on the health train of thought is I was waiting for an MRI. I had to go through the complaints. There's like a complaints department, so I had gone through that and kind of tried to get things to move along, and I finally got an MRI referral, so it got scheduled, and I thought it was going to be quite a while wait. That was what they warned me, but I ended up getting in quite soon, and you wouldn't believe it. I went and I was in the MRI machine for quite a while, and then right as they were getting to the point to push contrast, the entire street lost power, and I was in the machine and of course, like, all the doors lock and that they talk to you over like earphones, and I just was laying there in the dark like, hello. So they got to me. It was fine. I was fine. But it was just kind of like, of course this happens, right? So I just had my rescheduled MRI on, well, just the other day. So I had that done. So I'm still waiting for results for that, and we'll just see what happens. So that's my health update-ish. Life updates is we are back in Glasgow, obviously, and I'm back at home, which brings me so much joy to be back in my own space. My partner is back out to sea, so he works away. I think I've mentioned this in a previous podcast, but he's a marine engineer, so he kind of goes away to sea on a big vessel for like 3 to 4 months at a time, and then comes back and doesn't have to go anywhere for like 3 to 4 months at a time. So it is kind of a balance, because we get to spend quite a lot of quality time together, and like life gets a bit easier when he's home, kind of pet care wise, life wise, dinner wise, when he's around. And of course I miss him terribly when he's away, but he's away right now. I'm kind of getting back into the swing of things, getting the house back to the way that I really like it, which is kind of a nice thing about this arrangement, because when he's away I can kind of do like a whole house reset, and many of you who live with men will understand that that is very necessary sometimes. So I'm doing that, and it is taking a little bit of time, but it's nice. It's like all very therapeutic, and I'm taking my time. And we were away for a long time, so it very much needed to be done. Pets are great. So Whiskey, my dog, is excellent. Guinness, my cat, excellent. And I also got rats, if you can. Of course I did. So the university has rats that they keep in their care for handling purposes. So they do classes to kind of teach younger year vet students how to handle exotics. So rats count as like kind of like a small animal exotic species that's becoming very, very popular. So it's good to kind of get that handling experience. So when you see one in practice, you know how to handle them, you know what questions to ask the owner, yada yada. So they had these rats and they're about a year to a year and a half, and they just weren't getting handled enough, and they just didn't seem, they had said they just didn't seem as happy as they could be. Maybe with somebody who's around all the time, who can work with them, socialize with them better. And I don't know what came over me. I just knew I had to have them and love them. So I picked up 2 of the female rats, and they are currently in my office in a nice big cage, and they love it in there. But the trouble is they don't want to come out. I'm working on getting them socialized, used to my voice, used to me. I have been very successful a few times, giving them treats from my hand, getting them to kind of step onto my hand. And then I've been unsuccessful sometimes, and I have received a little chomp here and there. So I'm learning, they're learning, we're getting to know each other and what we like and what we don't like, and if we're gonna be friends. But either way, I'm hoping to give them a very happy end of life home. So that is that. And right now, for vet school updates, I am in a clinical pathology rotation just now, which is finishing up this week. And then I have 1 week off, and then I am getting thrown back into the fire, which I'm very nervous about, which I wouldn't typically be nervous about, but physically a little nervous about with my health and things and not really knowing what's gonna happen. But I'll be working at the small animal practice, so kind of like a first opinion general practice. Yeah, so I'm very excited for that as well. And I might book my dog in to get spayed during that time, which could be really fun. Not to do it, but to be there when she wakes up, because that's quite a fun extra perk of being a vet student, is that you get to kind of be a little bit more involved than the average Joe with your own animals. So that's me. I don't think that there's anything else that I wanted to chat about. I think I'm very excited for the autumn/fall vibes, and I would love to know what you're excited to knit. I did put a little poll out on Instagram, which some of you did respond, and thank you. I looked at all of the ones that you guys sent me, and I was very tempted by quite a few of them, but I would love to know what you're most excited to knit, or what you're looking at that you think would look like a fun fall vibe knit. I know I have tons of WIPs that I have to prioritize, but I do want a fall knit. So if you have any suggestions, please let me know in the comments. If you have anything that you're working on right now while I've been yapping away, please let me know as well. I would love to be super nosy and know what you're working on. I would also like to know if you're excited for the fall, if you have a different season that you prefer, and why. That could be quite fun. I would like to know. I was always personally a summer girl because I was allergic to everything in the spring, and in the winter I always got sick, and in the fall I had to go back to like school, so I was always inside, so I couldn't enjoy being outside even though I loved the fall always. Summer was my favorite season because it meant I had more freedom as a teen/young adult. I could enjoy the sunshine, I could be out and about, sit outside with my friends, and that was something that was very important to me for a long time. But now I am 100% a fall girl, 100%. I love when the season changed. I love a crisp fall morning and a crisp fall night. I love the warm, cozy sweater vibes. I love pumpkin spice lattes, as basic as that is. I don't care. I love it. And I love candles and a crackling fire and reading a book and knitting. And all of that is very me. So I would love to know what your favorite season is and why. And then I would like to say I'm sorry again for taking so long, but I'm very happy to be back in the swing of things. So I'm hoping to crank out some more podcasts for you in the normal kind of spacing that I've been doing, which is about 3 weeks. And I also would potentially like to do some vlog style things. Please let me know if that's something you'd like to see in my day-to-day crazy life as a final year vet student. But yeah, I'd just like to know what kind of content, because I'd like to make some more content, because I do really like the interaction that we have, and waiting a month and a half to release a video just isn't it, because I feel like I haven't talked to my friends in a really long time. And that's not okay, because I love talking to you guys. So yeah, if you made it this far, thank you so much for watching. I apologize that the light has definitely changed. But yeah, no, thank you so much for watching. Thank you for being here. This was a really long one. And if you haven't subscribed already, please do. That's how you can support me most as a knitter and vet student. And that way you don't miss any content as well. And yeah, I hope you have a lovely, lovely rest of your week and rest of your August, because I think the next time I'll be talking to you will be September, which is crazy. And if you're going to the Scottish Yarn Festival, please let me know, because I would love to see you. Thank you so much for watching, and it was great to see you guys again. Bye.